Tara, I've just been thinking.
What?
Do you know the way we did the best albums in 1974 and they were all 50 years old?
Yeah.
Albums from 1969 are 55 years old if you use the same logic.
Ooh.
So you know what this calls for? The top 20 albums of 1969. Hello everybody, you're very welcome to our latest video, the top 20 albums of 1969, the most difficult video we have ever attempted to make.
We shot a whole video already.
Start to finish.
We pulled out all the albums we have from 1969 and we tried to rank them and do a video on it. And it was a disaster. We had arguments. We had mental breakdowns trying to do it. And it was, we shot the whole video and the minute we stopped recording, Dad was like, no.
Well, look, first of all, once we started digging into 1969, the only other year that we've ever done the top 20 for was 1974, which we thought was amazing, until we got into 1969. So the next thing we knew, it had to go up to 30 albums. Then we broke it down to 25 albums. Next thing we were talking about, music and how innovation was involved in it and all sorts of different things and everything, and it just got totally out of hand. So on this video, we decided then we're going to go the other way. We're taking a kind of punk attitude on this. So we're going back to pure basics, We're going back to pure basics, and we're going to just pick out, Tara picked 10 albums, I picked 10 albums, and that's it. And we're going to go with them. Shout out to some other albums like that should be in here. What's that one? Captain Beefheart, Trout Mask Replica.
David Bowie's first album.
What's the name of that? Then Play On by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
I've got some here even. Blind Fate's self-titled album. Things like Spooky Tooth. What's the name of this thing? Hang on. Ceremony. An Electric Mass, which is like, a groundbreaking album. I don't know how we took it out. Family Music from the Doll's House. Pink Floyd's More. These are just some that we couldn't fit in. Five Bridges by the Nice, the only reason I'm leaving this out is that I had it in the live albums.
Yeah.
One. Absolutely groundbreaking album. Okay? So hopefully we'll say something kind of I'm losing my voice even. So it was very difficult.
We couldn't even rank the 10 albums we picked either, so
we couldn't, and we'll try and say something about why we think it's a good album when we get to each one of them. Who's going? You go first, Tara, will I?
I'll go first.
Tara's going first this time. That means I'll have the last word. Yes.
Speaking of Yes, we have Yes's first album. They weren't ready yet, but we got a lot of glimpses of what was to come in this album, and it's for this to be their starting point is very impressive, and for it to have been in 1969 is crazy, because when you think of all the music that would have been around back then, Vera Lynn and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
But when you think about it, for this to come out then,
yeah,
wow.
Well, what I get from that's a brilliant kind of album that shows a band that were fantastic live.
Yeah.
Going into a studio and kind of trying to capture that. A lot of it's about arrangements and kind of building this dynamic in this music. The rhythm section on it are just out of this world. It's a fantastic album. Love it to pieces. And it is the first Yes album, so yeah.
Kind of biased, but
I think you had a good point to pick it there, Tara. So where am I going to go? Right, I'm going to talk about something.
Okay.
Now
right.
I'm not going back into where we went in Slice Rant, yes. I'm not going to go back into where we went in the one that we threw in the bin, but I am going to go a little bit down that route. What we saw 66, 67, we saw first kind of things happening from people, so we had kind of, a lot of people would say, Sgt. Pepper, that was a groundbreaking album, it was kind of the first album that was kind of like in this prog thing. I would argue too that Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues was in there. If you know, once we go into 66, 67, we've got Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. We've got Frank Zappa's first album. We've got Jesus. There's so much
Loads
that
of stuff,
fits
yeah,
in,
yeah.
but they're all kind of desperate things. They're all different and everything. Now, I mean, a lot of what we do will kind of concentrate on the UK a lot, and London in particular, because this was kind of, there was something going on there.
There was a bit of a hole.
And we want to talk about prog rock too, so we're kind of going to go into that. So what we found, there was kind of three movements that kind of came out of that started to kind of show themselves. This is where music is going in '69. One of them was that kind of, there was a blues movement that had built up in the UK in the '60s. You know, bands like the Animals, the Yardbirds, all this sort of thing, the Rolling Stones, John Mayall's Blues Breakers. They were carrying music in a certain way, and we had something that came out of that, where that became consolidated into something harder and heavier. We had a movement completely against kind of having like blues or rock and roll or American kind of culture in the music, where it went more European. And then we also had a movement, particularly in America, where it went more kind of, it started to take country and things into it as well, and it became this kind of wider thing. So I've tried to capture all of that in my albums, right? Okay, so I'm going to kick off. We're going to go down to Richmond in southwest London and the border of Surrey, and we have a very important album, which is Led Zeppelin's first album. This is an example of that kind of blues movement turning into something that's becoming harder, it's becoming more vibrant, and it's got a lot more to say, and it's going to say it by punching it at you, you know.
Yeah.
And this is my first album. Okay, so Led Zeppelin 1, fantastic album. Straight away, dun-dun, when it comes in on Good Times, Bad Times, it's hitting you with something. You Shook Me, we're going into the old blues. We've got I Can't Quit You Baby, old blues. But we've got all sorts of things, Dazed and Confused and things, which was coming out of a song that the Yardbirds were playing with at the time.
Good.
Fabulous album, brilliant, and a great example of that kind of blues thing. Right, there you go. I couldn't find a word to explain.
I can't wait for the day I can analyse things like that, because now I'm just like, I really like this. This is great. And then he's like a professor or something.
I'm not.
Now, remember, these aren't ranked.
Wasted years, like, listening to this stuff. Go, what are they trying to tell me? Are the little fairies dancing around? Go on.
These aren't ranked, so don't be mad at me for pulling this out now. It was just there, okay? Abbey Road by the Beatles. Probably one of the greatest albums of that year to come out.
Yeah.
Completely crazy influential. I'm just looking at the picture now and thinking of me and you walking across that crossroad.
Yes, we were on Abbey Road last year.
It was so
And we
cool!
went across, the zebra crossing because we're sad like that, you know.
Octopus's Garden is one that you used to play for me when I was a kid. So this entered my life very early on. I had such a weird imagination and I loved it, like. But then as I got older, I kind of drifted away from it, and I came back to it then when I was about 20. And when I heard the suite at the end of it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've never heard anything like this.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it and saw it was 1969 to do something like that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then when you think of all the things that came from this in later years from other bands and everything, like, unbelievable. Absolutely fantastic album. And it'll constantly have a legacy forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But as I said, like previously, like we've you know, we're looking at a time from 66 onwards, we're kind of deconstructing things, and we're kind of, you know, there's all different movements going on. That's a great example of, like, the song structure and everything has been deconstructed, that these guys can now do anything, you know, and they do. I mean, you know, to open that thing with Come Together, like, it's just
straight away.
Like, yeah, it's just
wow,
incredible. But right, I'm going back down to Richmond again, Tara. I'm going back from Abbey
Nice
Road.
surprise.
Where's Abbey Road? Where's that located in London again?
I can't remember the name of the place.
Oh yeah, well, wherever it is. So we go back down to southwest London and we go to Renaissance's first album. So here we have a real example of what I've been talking about. So we have the Yardbirds, Jimmy Page, well, first of all, Chris Drea leaves it all like to set up a photographic business. He actually took that photograph that's on the back.
Oh,
So
I
if you
didn't
look
know
at
that.
it, it does say there, if you read it there, it's on it somewhere. Here to hold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Drea.
Backliner photo, Chris Drea.
Yeah, so Chris Drea sets himself up as a photographer. Jimmy Page decides he's going to like go on with this Yardbirds thing and put this band together and everything. Jim McCarthy and Keith Relf say, let's create the anti-Yardbirds. We'll do the complete opposite to what the Yardbirds are. We will have nothing to do with kind of all this kind of bluesy sound. And then we will go completely into kind of baroque and classical music and everything. We will have very little lead guitar, if any, in the thing. We'll concentrate. We won't have electric keyboards. We'll have piano and harpsichords and everything in the thing. And they come out with this album. I love this album. I think it's fantastic. I remember seeing them on the Beat Club when I was a teenager, performing Kings and Queens, and it just blew me away. I thought it was brilliant. Your man doing the big bass solo. Fabulous. Yeah, great album. Kings and Queens, Innocence, Islands, just fantastic tracks. Absolutely fantastic album. So Renaissance's debut album. So now we can see two of the strands going there, I hope. Hope this is making sense.
I can't do that.
I'm putting together a great academic argument here. Go on, Tara.
Now. What an album. I said to Dad one day, I said, I don't know enough Deep Purple. I'd heard In Rock, I'd heard Machine Head, and I'd heard a couple of their later albums. And I went into his collection and pulled out a few things I'd never seen before, and this was one of them. And do you remember me going back to you going, what was that? I loved it, it was so good.
It's the proggiest Deep Purple album.
It is, it's really proggy, and it's like heavy rock mixed with prog. And it just did things to me when I heard it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, that opening with Ian Pace with the overdub drums.
Oh my
and Jason
god,
Shadows.
I can't even speak holding it. I'm like, that's what it does to you. So yeah, I don't even need to say anything. Like,
no,
it
fabulous.
speaks for
The
itself.
April Suite then and everything like that.
Yeah.
We've got 3 different movements. And yeah, kind of it. I suppose like it was the kind of John Lord era, wasn't it? The end of it, like I mean, which led to the concerto for group and orchestra, and that was the big kind of finale of
So
that.
album, like,
But it's a very good album. I think they should have left the cover in colour, though. I think kind of.
I don't know. I like it though. It's really strange. You know, if it was in colour, it'd be like a Genesis album or something.
I
Like,
suppose so.
yeah. Whereas Deep Purple are like, no.
I suppose
We want
so.
to freak you out.
Okay, so then I'm going to my third strand, which was the American kind of strand of music that had kind of coalesced in '69, which was all about kind of Americana and kind of mixing country blues and all this sort of stuff together. And I've got the band's eponymous album. Now, I've looked at a few rankings from 1969. I have to say this was missing.
Oh,
For
was
most
it?
of them that I saw, I think this is a fantastic album, you know. Absolutely great. So Across the Great Divide, Rag Mama Rag, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. I used to hear fellas singing that.
Yeah,
in the pub
I was
drunk
going to
here.
say, wasn't that famous in Ireland?
It was, yeah. It must have been some huge hit.
I remember hearing that when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, people be drunk in the pub singing it all the time. The groove. Yeah. Up on Cripple Creek, which is great. It's about a drunkard with a great partner wherever he found the woman. She's fantastic. That's what else have we got? Jawbone, King Harvest has surely come, which is fabulous, kind of about the poor farmer and waiting for the harvest to come in to pay off the bills. But yeah, so we have a kind of a coolness about kind of traditional music from America, which is absolutely fantastic. I love this album, brilliant. Yeah, so that's my next one, The Band, with its eponymous self-titled album, seeing as you did Deep Purple with their self-titled album. I had to do one.
Now here's another one that just drives me insane. On the Threshold of a Dream by the Moody Blues. I've definitely talked about this before. I absolutely love this album. I just, the fact that these all came out in 1969, this is what happened when we tried to film the other video.
It was bad. It was bad. Just me getting real into all these like social and economic history and movement.
And I was like,
and Tara then going,
But this album is absolutely amazing. And Mike Pinder, his Mellotron sound was probably the first time anyone had made a Mellotron sound like that.
Yeah. I mean, he was a pioneer in the instrument. Yeah.
And that song, I had this in one of our top Mellotron track videos. I picked out The Voyage from this because the sound of the Mellotron it's oh my god.
But we're looking at a real like prog album.
Yeah, this is crazy prog.
Yeah, it takes you on a journey. It starts and then it goes right through to the end, and it's like one big work of art.
Yeah.
I don't think the Moody's get enough credence. Yeah. For what they've done,
Yeah.
Another great band that had a good few. Did 3 albums out in '69. Credence and. Fantastic, with more of that America stuff.
Stop, we're talking about the Moody's.
Yeah, go on, yeah.
But On the Threshold of a Dream, it's a big story throughout the album, and you get a kind of look at Graham Edge's poetry here, and it's so good. I think I recited it in one of our videos.
Yeah.
So cringe, but
whatever floats your boat, Terry,
And I'd say a lot of people have never heard this. Because, like Dad said, they don't get enough recognition.
No.
This
probably because they're so uncool looking.
You wouldn't mind that though. Once you hear it.
Yeah, they never lost that kind of embarrassing dad look, did they? Even when they were young. When they were your age, they were like embarrassing dads, So my next one is a great album of the time. Again, another band that don't get enough credence.
Absolutely not.
Procol Harum, A Salty Dog. I keep hearing a lot of people saying, Salty Dog, it's great, it's some album. I think it's alright. What I think this does, which is brilliant on this, you've got the kind of 3 strands together on this, So if you think of the previous couple of albums, they were going very towards that kind of European, get away from all this American blues-based music and go more towards the European culture in the thing. But on this, you've got the European culture, you've got Robin Trower doing a few kind of bluesy bits and pieces on this album as well. But I also find there's a kind of songwriting that's very reminiscent of Bob Dylan in his kind of Blonde on Blonde era. So we have a real kind of amalgamation of the 3 different strands being pulled together on this. This was quite a successful album in '69, and rightly so. It's a fantastic album, great album. I mean, the title track, there's some bits of it that have orchestration on them, and they're fantastic. So yeah, Salty Dog by Procol Harum. So there you go.
Now, I love this album. Stand Up by Jethro Tull. They were going in a very kind of rock direction when they started out with their first album, and then with this, it was like the folky style that they're known for now came into it. And it was, again, another kind of influential album. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I mean, 1 minute it's this real silent flute kind of stuff with a bit of bass, how do you say, bourrée?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
yeah.
one, and then next thing you go into something like Nothing Is Easy, and it's like, and it's it just it has it all, like absolutely great album. And I didn't know this came out in 1969 till you said it to me, and I
Right.
was like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely amazing work of art.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first album in '68 that was real bluesy, so it was in that kind of blues tradition.
Yeah.
And then what you can see is them in '69, like firmly pitching a tent into this. No, we're more European because that Brewery is a Bach piece, and then you can see the the influence of English folk music and folk themes coming into it, but they still have this kind of really bluesy kind of sustained guitar sound in it as well. So yeah, fantastic album. An album too that I didn't see coming up in a lot of other people's rankings was Soft Parade by The Doors.
Wow.
Okay. Now I think this
So good.
this is another one. This, in true Doors fashion, these guys were geniuses. I mean, they were absolutely amazing. Their debut album was incredible. Like when you think when it was recorded and everything, like what was out there, it was just incredible. Here we see that the Doors, I think the Doors were feeling there was something going on. There was a change in the air, and that they had to do something. They were, there was a bit of that kind of blues thing in the music all the time and everything. Okay, they used to stray into other things and everything, but they were very kind of in that blues camp, But what we have here is something where they're kind of trying to move into something else, and I don't know what to describe it as. It's almost like a kind of jazzy,
psychedelic.
yeah. They're going somewhere on it, and I love it. It's there's no other album I know that sounds like this.
Yeah.
I love the title track, Tell All the People, and it's almost like kind of music for television shows. That's the way it sounds to me. Like it should be, things on, at that time you would have the Tom Jones show and all these things on the time. It almost sounds like they're doing this kind of music for television shows. And I just think it really works. I think it's fabulous. I love it. So the Soft Parade by The Doors, that's my next one. Yeah.
Now my next one is a very rock and roll album. Led Zeppelin 2. Oh my god. Like, hearing this for the first time, you're like, shook. It's the only way I can describe it. Like, you're like, whoa, that rocks. It's something I discovered as a teenager, so it was very like, yeah, this is awesome.
Okay. Go for it, Tara.
It just absolutely rocks. Like, and it's such a great step to take after their first album, then on to this one, like in the same year. How these guys were just on another level.
Yeah. No, they were fantastic.
And then to move on to Led Zeppelin 3 and 4 after these, like the way they just progressed every time, like was just unreal. Yeah. So Led Zeppelin 2.
Yeah, what you could see there was a bit of a movement. Like the first one was really sitting in that kind of bluesy camp.
Yeah.
Here, like especially when we think of a song like Ramble On, we're kind of moving into kind of like a kind of folk realm, and we can see J.R.R. Tolkien's influence on lyrics and things like this. So it's moving away from that like kind of the blues image of the kind of double entendre in blues music and the kind of sexual kind of stuff, and they're moving away from that into kind of something deeper, more pastoral and everything like this in European. So fabulous choice there, fabulous choice. Now
he's brought them up again.
It's normally Chicago 7 that comes into every video. Unfortunately, if I could have got him in a time machine so that Chicago 7 was made in '69, I'd have done it. This is mind blowing.
It's like everything else they've done.
This is just, not everything.
Well, up until the bad times.
No, baby, please.
We don't talk about those.
Yeah, oh Jesus, that was bad. Remember, you'd be at the disco and then the slow song would come on and Chicago would come on and like everyone would be going picking the girl to dance with. And of course, me and my mates would all have long hair and combat jackets and things, and the things. No one would dance with us. Damn you, Chicago! Damn you! It's all your fault. How could you do this to me? No, fabulous album, fabulous. Obviously based on, like I was saying about the Yes album. This is kind of based on a kind of blinded live set. I would have loved to have seen this band at this time. This is really throbbing and powerful. It's got kind of jazzy overtones. It's got that kind of big sound on it. And it's something kind of different. It is like taking in that kind of American tradition again into itself, and elements of kind of music like that was there. All of a sudden we're seeing that rock music or pop, but with pop music, and then like we get into rock music, which is when pop starts to take itself more seriously. It becomes rock music, so serious pop is rock, and then we get into a stage where rock can incorporate other things, and this is what we're seeing happening here, and this is incorporating a lot of kind of American tradition, with the horn sections and things like that, which a lot of it would have come from the kind of from the more bluesy tradition as well, the jazzy tradition, and it's all kind of been mixed up in this thing again. But it's rather than kind of putting the accelerator down and running with the thing like some of the other albums did, or some of the other bands did, like Led Zeppelin or whatever. What they've done with it is they've expanded it out, to include all of this. So fantastic, love it. Get into Chicago if you're not. Get into them.
Now, another one of the greatest albums ever, Tommy by The Who. One of the most influential albums ever. The story on this is so touching. And especially for the time, I'd say it was very, oh God, like, are you sure you want to put something out like that? And they were like, yeah, we do. Absolutely. The music on it is really, really proggy for that time. It's strange and it's unusual. And the way they made it into a movie then and everything, like, I mean, come on. That's just unreal. And I love that movie so much.
I know you do.
So, I mean, I'm finding it hard to even think of a word to describe this album.
But I think the description of it as a rock opera is very good.
It is, and it's just, it's crazy. I mean, they're talking about a wizard 1 minute and then like a child I'm just going to say. Do you know, like it's, I can't describe it. It's just
great.
Crazy.
That's a great review.
I'm so sorry.
I think she likes it,
It's great, and I mean, it probably paved the way for an awful lot of albums that came after it. So.
No, a brilliant album, man. It did. It kind of laid down a bit of a kind of a, how can you put it, a template that other people did follow, and not as successfully as that.
No.
So another kind of must-have for '69, Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed. This one vies an awful lot with me as the best album the Rolling Stones ever did. I think it's fantastic. It was recorded under, like, they were after losing Brian Jones, and they were after getting Mick in on the guitar, and it's just absolutely astounding. Well, no, not Keith. What's his name? Mick Taylor, isn't it? Yeah, Mick Taylor, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing album. What can I say about it?
The two of us are struggling.
No, I think it's a really good album. It falls outside of that kind of thing I'm trying to describe about, because this is just a continuation of what the Rolling Stones had been at for an awful long time. But they do it so well. I mean, something that opens with Let It Bleed, Gimme Shelter, Gimme Shelter's the opening track on it. And then the way that it closes off, which you can't always get what you want, absolutely wonderful. These are just good songs, and it's a good album. Monkey Man is great fun. You got Midnight Rambler in there. What else have they got? Love and Vain. Yeah, I mean it's just a great album, really good album. They sound really together on it.
Yeah.
Some of their albums they sound terribly messy to me, but this sounds really professional. I really like it. Yeah, so it's just a good album. I don't think it's some sort of groundbreaking thing, but it's a great album and probably my favourite Stones album. So there you go. Let it bleed. Oh.
Santana's first album. This is just an amalgamation of rock, ethnic music, pop, probably loads of other things that I can't think of right now, but it is absolutely fantastic. Such a powerful album. It's got the great Soul Sacrifice on it that we hear him play at Woodstock when he drops a certain substance for the first time and the guitar neck is like a snake and he's trying to play it while it's going like this and you can see his face in the video where he's like
That was a great impression of Carlos Santana's face.
Thank you.
You're very talented.
But this is a must-have. There's a lot of great Santana albums out there, of course, but this is just absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of my favourite ones that he did, and again, the fact that this was the first one is really impressive.
Yeah.
And yeah, the musicianship, everything on it is just beautiful. So
it's another one like the Chicago album and like the Yes album, where you have this kind of like fantastic live set that's captured in the studio. So yeah, brilliant, great album. I'm going straight into full on into it. Yeah. So Taste's first album. Now we're probably going to be the only ones to do this. Again, we always have to show an Irish album, don't we?
yes, Mr. Gallagher seems to be popping up a lot.
He does. This is a blinding album. I mean, this is raw. This is raunchy blues at its best. It's I say at its best, as best as a European guy can do it. I suppose, But tracks like Sugar Mama, Catfish, Same Old Story. Then I was going to say the blistering blister on the moon, which is an amazing track. I mean, I saw them doing it on French television. I found a bit of film on YouTube. It was just insane. But absolutely amazing album. I love the cover too. It captures that kind of full-on thing of Taste. Yeah, brilliant album. If you like that kind of raw bluesy stuff, that's a great album for you. Yeah.
You can imagine the smell of sweat in the room when they'd be playing. Like.
Yeah. That kind of like little club and it rocking. Yeah.
Now, here's something that was so mad for that time and is really overlooked.
I think so, yeah. I think it's a masterpiece, yeah.
Valentine Suite by Colosseum. Help me out here.
Sidelong Epic.
Yeah, Sidelong. I can't even talk today. Sidelong Epic. I can imagine them playing live, like the actual Valentine Suite live, and I've seen film of it, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Jazz fusion, like.
Before there was even such thing as jazz fusion.
I mean, like. Dick Exton-Smith with his 2 saxophones. I mean, I'd never seen that before. That was crazy. And I knew of Dave Greenslade before I'd heard some of his solo work. And when I saw this, I was like, is that the same guy? Oh my god! This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And again, another blueprint for a lot of stuff that was to come after.
Yeah.
So the Valentine Suite by Colosseum.
Yeah, I definitely think like a really overlooked masterpiece of that time. That was their second album, and yeah, I mean it just showed that they got a lot under their belt. King Crimson's debut. That's it. What more do I have to? I don't want to go into watch my video on King Crimson. But absolutely great album, fantastic debut, very strong. A lot of elements drawn together here as well, and not only have we those elements drawn together, but we have elements of the elements. Like, so what we've got here is where they've been listening to people like the Moody Blues, they've been listening to people like Colosseum. I saw a photograph of them actually in their rehearsal space, and written on the wall is Colosseum.
Oh,
You know, so
there we go.
So yeah. I mean, you can hear bits of all, not just that they're taking bits of blues or bits of jazz and bits of European music, but they're taking bits of the bands that are taking bits of that stuff, and they're putting all of that together, and they're coming up with this. So it's a kind of unique album, because of that. So you start with 21st Century Schizoid, man, fantastic. It's the real, obviously a bit of Colosseum in that. I Talk to the Wind, and nice, easygoing song. Then Epitaph, near bits of the Moody Blues in Epitaph. Moonchild, which probably worked very well live. And then In the Court of the Crimson King, which is like fantastic. Great album. Every home should have one.
Now I'm going to tell the story.
Of what?
Of when I was about 8 years old, King Crimson held a competition.
Oh yeah.
Who could pull off the face?
That's right, yeah, they did it, yeah.
Dad decided to enter me into
great
it.
at
I
it.
pulled the face and I came third.
She came third worldwide in
Can
the
you see
Schizoid
the-
man face. Yeah. It was fantastic, yeah. Not something that she should be saying on it won't be. She'll never get a husband.
So a little fun fact for you there.
Yeah, that was right, yeah, third in the world. And we got like messages back from King Crimson and everything. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
She's the head apple.
Yeah, no, they were saying like, well done, and all this. And
Well done for looking like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
on to my last one, which is my favourite Moody Blues album, which I've said before, To Our Children's Children's Children. It's an absolutely beautiful album. The concept behind it is very emotional, and I've again said it before, this is something you'd want to give to your children and say, please listen to this, it's beautiful, and it's something that when I first heard it I was just touched by it, and I just love putting it on and sitting down and the whole way through just sitting there listening, and it's just fantastic. It has, the guys went off and learned like every instrument they could. There's sitar and everything on this. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, if you've never heard it, please check it out. You probably will cry, but it's a good cry, so highly recommend.
Yeah. A brilliant year for the Moodies. I think they're two greatest albums.
Yeah.
And masterpieces, absolute masterpieces.
Groundbreaking stuff.
And, I would say they're two of the first pieces of progressive rock. Some people say, are the Moodies prog or aren't they prog? But I think those two albums, they really, they hit a lot of the little features of progressive rock. I don't think anything here kind of really hits them all. I know a lot of people say that the King Crimson album is kind of the first one. It does a lot, and I think it does by being, reshuffling what the other bands had done before. But I still think it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I think prog wasn't quite formulated in '69, almost. And I think those Moody's albums are very close to it. Now, these albums weren't in any particular order and everything, so don't think I'm saying that this is the best album of 1969. I don't think it is, but I do think it's a fantastic album. Again, we're getting into this kind of, we're in this kind of blues thing, like, that's going full on. Where's it going to take us? And I've got by 10 years after. Okay, so great note on the back of this. He says at the end of it, it's Alvin Lee that says the major problem of being 10 years after has been to record an album. So 10 years after, we're always a very amazing live band. And what they were trying to do in a recording studio when they'd go in is to try and put some effects and things on it to try and kind of get some sort of an experience for the listener. And you can see
I love that. That's so cool.
But yeah, this is a pretty fantastic, full-on kind of blues rock album. You've got Good Morning Little Schoolgirl there, which is fantastic on it. I used to play in a band and we used to do the cover of the kind of version that 10 years after used to do on this. I Woke Up This Morning, it's just a fantastic full-on album, a marvellous listen from start to finish. Absolutely great. And that winds up our albums of 1969. We wish we could have had 30 albums in.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff, as we said at the start, that we left out that really should be in here as well. You know?
But we couldn't do it. Like, we were literally tearing our hair out here trying to do it because they're so great.
Yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I don't think, like, if we do any more of these years, I don't think we'll find one as difficult as 69. To be honest with you.
Well, touch wood.
touch wood, yeah. For our sanity's sake,
Yeah.
it might be alright for you to watch it, but it's not easy doing it here.
No, this went a lot better.
Yeah.
Than the last one we tried to do. But anyway, if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.